Human's blood saved her life and left her carrying the unexpected. Best HFY Sci-Fi stories. Lena had always been a woman of science and reason, but nothing could prepare her for the moment that would change her life forever. She had spent most of her career studying the unknown, charting new worlds, and analyzing strange alien life forms. It was all part of the job as a doctor on the ship Endeavour, a vessel built for the most daring of space missions. Her team had been sent to a distant planet, a place known for its dangerous wildlife and extreme conditions. It was a world no one dared to explore until now. The planet, designated Zeta 9, had intrigued the explorers for years. They'd heard rumors of powerful creatures lurking in its jungles and vast deserts, but never had they gotten close enough to truly understand what lay beneath the surface. Now Lena and her crew stood at the edge of a new frontier, ready to uncover its secrets. The mission was simple: survey the planet, collect samples, and leave before any danger could present itself. But things never went as planned. The moment they landed, they realized how unpredictable this alien world really was. On the second day of their expedition, things took a sharp turn. The crew had set off into the dense jungle, led by Captain John, a man who had seen the worst that space could throw at him and survived. He was Lena's superior, but in the harshness of the wild, they had all become equals. John was leading the group with Lena and two others following behind. The air was thick with humidity, the ground soft and squelchy beneath their boots. But despite the oppressive heat, the team pushed on, eager to gather the data that would put Zeta 9 on the map. Then, it happened. The ground beneath them shifted, and before anyone could react, a massive creature, unlike anything Lena had seen, leaped from the shadows. It had 6 legs and a mouth that stretched wide, revealing rows of razor-sharp teeth. It moved with terrifying speed, knocking one of the crew members aside. In the chaos, Lena barely had time to scream before the creature lunged toward her. Its claws grazed her arm, and a sharp pain shot through her body. Her vision blurred, and for a moment, everything went dark. When Lena came to, she was lying on the forest floor, her head pounding. The creature was gone, but the pain in her arm was unbearable. She tried to sit up, but the world spun around her. Blood was dripping from the gash, staining the dirt beneath her. Her hand shook as she pressed it to the wound, but nothing she did seem to stop the bleeding. Lena! John's voice pierced through the fog in her mind. He was kneeling beside her, his face filled with concern. His hand reached out, gently pressing against her shoulder. "We need to get you back to the ship." But Lena knew the truth. She was too injured. They wouldn't make it back to the ship in time. The bleeding wouldn't stop, and she could feel her strength leaving her with every passing moment. It was clear to her then she was not going to make it. I don't think I'm going to make it, John," she whispered, her voice barely audible. "No," John said, his voice hard and filled with urgency. "You're going to make it. We'll fix this. I won't let you die here." Lena tried to focus on his words, but the darkness was pulling her under again. Her eyelids grew heavy, and the pain was becoming too much to bear. But before everything went black, she heard John speak again, though this time his voice sounded different, as if he were making a decision he didn't want to make. "Lena, I'm going to do something. It's risky, but it's the only option. We have." She tried to protest, but the words wouldn't come. She didn't have the strength to speak. She didn't have the strength to fight it. John's hand was warm against her skin, and for a moment, she felt a strange comfort in his touch. She didn't know what he was planning, but in her state, she trusted him with her life. The blackness overtook her again. Lena wasn't sure how much time passed, but when she finally opened her eyes again, everything was different. The sharp pain in her arm had dulled to a faint throb. The bleeding had stopped. She felt different. Her body felt stronger, more awake. But the world around her was hazy, as if she were seeing it through a fogged lens. "John?" she managed to say, her voice weak but more steady than before. He was standing over her, looking down with a concerned expression. His face was grim. But there was something else in his eyes, a mix of relief and something she couldn't place. "You're alive," he said simply. Lena tried to sit up but felt a sudden rush of dizziness. Her body was still recovering, and it took everything she had to stay conscious. What happened? What did you do?" John hesitated before answering. I gave you my blood. It's the only way I could stop the bleeding. It's something we discovered about humans. Our blood has unique properties. I knew it was risky, but I had no choice." Lena's mind was reeling. John had given her his blood. It was supposed to be a last-ditch effort to save her life, but now she could feel something stirring inside her. It wasn't just her arm that had healed, it was her entire body. She felt stronger, more alive than she had ever felt before. But it wasn't just physical. There was something else, something she couldn't explain. "I don't understand," Lena murmured, her voice thick with confusion. "What's happening to me?" John looked away for a moment, his expression clouded with doubt. "I don't know, Lena, but I'm afraid the blood might have done more than just heal you. It might have changed you." Lena's heart skipped a beat. Changed her? What did that mean? The question gnawed at her as she tried to process what John had just said. She knew something wasn't right, but she couldn't place it. Her body felt different, like it was no longer entirely her own. And in that moment, she realized this was just the beginning. She had been saved, but she had no idea what this change meant or what the future held. All she knew was that she couldn't go back. Not now, not after this. Whatever had happened to her, it had altered the course of her life forever. Lena couldn't shake the feeling that something inside her had changed, not just physically but in a way she couldn't explain. After John had saved her life with his blood, she felt stronger, faster, and more alert than she ever had before. Her body had healed quickly, but it wasn't just healing. It was evolving. It was as if her very cells were transforming into something new. The crew had returned to the ship after the attack. Lena had been taken to the medical bay, where the ship's doctor, Dr. Morales, ran every scan imaginable. Lena had expected the usual results, a clean bill of health, no lasting injuries, but that wasn't what she got. The doctor was baffled. Her vital signs were all normal, but there was something odd in her scans. Her DNA seemed to be shifting, adapting. And the strange part was that it wasn't just her DNA. The scans revealed a unique reaction to John's blood, an interaction between her and the blood that hadn't been seen before. It was as though John's blood was rewriting her genetic code. "Lena, this isn't just a regular recovery," Dr. Morales said, her voice filled with concern. "Your body is changing. I've never seen anything like this before." Lena sat up on the examination table, her head spinning as the implications of what the doctor had said settled in. She felt fine, better than fine, but the thought that her body was being altered on a molecular level was terrifying. What had John done to her? What had his blood done to her? John was standing in the doorway, his expression unreadable. He had been with her since the incident, always at her side. But this was the first time they had been alone in a room together since it happened. Lena looked at him, searching for answers in his eyes. "John, what's happening to me?" Her voice was soft, but the fear in it was clear. John stepped into the room and approached her cautiously. His eyes were filled with guilt, but there was something else too, something that resembled uncertainty, as if even he didn't know what was going on. "Lena, I didn't know if it would work. I just couldn't let you die. But now, I'm afraid you're not just healed. I think the blood has changed you." Lena's heart raced. "Changed me? How? In what way?" John took a deep breath before answering. "Your body isn't just healing. The blood is merging with your cells, with your very biology. It's creating something different, stronger, but there's no telling what it means. We don't know if this is temporary or permanent." Lena's mind was spinning. This wasn't what she had expected when she agreed to join the mission. She had expected to study new planets, meet new species, and collect data. She had never expected to be the subject of a science experiment that had gone terribly wrong. But as she sat there, staring at the man who had saved her, a part of her couldn't help but wonder if the change was a blessing rather than a curse. She felt more alive than she ever had before. She felt more aware of her surroundings, as if her senses were heightened. She could hear the hum of the ship's engines, feel the pulse of energy flowing through the walls. It was as if everything in the universe had come into sharper focus. She wasn't just Lena anymore. She was someone else. Someone more. The change wasn't all good, though. There was something else inside her, something she couldn't quite put her finger on. It was like a presence, a whisper in the back of her mind. And it wasn't just physical. The longer she thought about it, the more she realized that John's blood had not just healed her body. It had awakened something deep within her soul. "Lena, you need to stay calm," John said, his voice a soft plea. "We don't know what's going to happen. We have to be careful." But Lena wasn't sure how much longer she could stay calm. Every time she tried to focus, to think clearly, the sensations grew stronger. Her muscles felt more powerful, her reflexes faster, and her vision sharper. But it wasn't just her body that had changed. It was her mind, too. There were flashes of images, visions of things she couldn't explain. Strange places, alien faces, and feelings of intense connection to the planet they had just left behind. "I can't stop thinking about the planet," she admitted, her voice trembling. "I keep seeing it in my mind over and over. It's like I'm connected to it." John's expression shifted, his worry deepening. "You think the blood is linking you to the planet?" Lena nodded, though she wasn't sure she believed it herself. "It's like I can feel the planet's pulse, its life force. Every part of it feels alive to me. And when I close my eyes, I see these visions of creatures, of people, of things that don't make sense. It's like the planet is speaking to me." John was silent for a long time, his brow furrowed in deep thought. Finally, he spoke. "We need to go back to Zeta 9. Lena looked at him, startled. "What? Why?" "Because something's happening, Lena," John said, his voice firm. "I think the planet is reacting to you. Whatever you're feeling, whatever's happening to you, it's connected to Zeta 9. We need to go back and figure out what's really going on." Lena was hesitant. The idea of returning to that dangerous, uncharted world filled her with dread. But at the same time, she couldn't deny the strange pull she felt toward it. It was as if the planet was calling to her, urging her to come back. "I don't know if I'm ready for that," she said quietly. "I don't even know what's happening to me." John stepped closer, his eyes softening. "We'll figure it out together, Lena. You're not alone in this. I won't let anything happen to you." For the first time since the incident, Lena felt a small sense of comfort in his words. She didn't know what was happening to her. But maybe, just maybe, they could find the answers they needed. Together, the decision was made. Lena and John would return to Zeta 9. They would face the unknown. But Lena couldn't shake the feeling that whatever lay ahead would change everything. Lena and John stood at the airlock, staring at the swirling atmosphere of Zeta 9 outside. The planet loomed large through the viewport, its strange, vibrant colors swirling in the clouds. Lena couldn't shake the feeling that something was waiting for her there, something beyond the planet's surface. The pull, the connection, was stronger now. It was as if the very planet was calling to her, urging her to come back. "Are you sure about this?" John's voice broke through her thoughts. He was standing beside her, his eyes full of concern, but also a sense of determination. They had already made the decision to return to the planet, but it still didn't feel real. It felt too dangerous, too uncertain. Lena nodded, though her heart was pounding in her chest. "I have to know what's happening to me. I have to understand why I'm connected to this place." John's hand rested on her shoulder, a silent gesture of reassurance. "Then let's find out. But we'll be careful. We stick together." The airlock doors opened with a soft hiss, and they stepped out onto the surface of Zeta 9. The ground beneath their boots was soft and uneven, the air thick with humidity. The planet's surface was a mix of jagged rocks and lush, glowing plants that seemed to pulse with energy. It felt alien, yet familiar, as though it had been waiting for them all this time. Lena's senses were on high alert. The world around her seemed to come alive with every step. She could feel the pulse of the planet beneath her feet, the energy flowing through the ground and into her body. It was as if she were connected to every living thing on this world. The strange visions she had been having were now clearer. She could see creatures, not just from the jungle, but from deep within the planet itself. They were watching her, waiting for something. "Do you feel that?" Lena whispered to John, her voice filled with awe. John looked around, his brow furrowing. "I feel it. It's like the planet is alive." Lena couldn't explain it, but she knew that what she was feeling was real. It wasn't just in her mind. There was something on this planet, something ancient and powerful. And somehow, it was linked to her. They moved deeper into the jungle, their path illuminated by the strange plants that glowed with an otherworldly light. Every now and then, Lena would catch sight of a creature moving in the distance, its eyes glowing as it watched them. She wasn't sure if the creatures were hostile or simply curious, but one thing was clear: they were not afraid of her. In fact, it was as though they were waiting for her to make the first move. As they ventured farther into the jungle, the air grew thicker, the sounds of distant creatures growing louder. Lena's mind was racing with questions. What was happening to her? Why was she connected to this planet? And what was she supposed to do with this strange power she could feel growing inside her? They stopped near a clearing, the glow from the plants casting an eerie light across the area. Lena could see a large, ancient structure in the distance, half buried in the ground. It was made of stone, with strange carvings etched into the surface. She felt the pull again, stronger now, urging her to move toward it. "Lena, wait," John sighed, grabbing her arm before she could take another step. "We don't know what's over there. We need to be careful. Lena turned to him, her eyes wild with determination. It's calling me, John. I can feel it. We have to go. John hesitated, looking from Lena to the structure. He knew there was no stopping her once she set her mind on something. He'd seen it before. All right, he said, his voice tight with concern. But we stay together, no matter what. They made their way toward the structure, the air growing colder as they approached. The ground beneath their feet seemed to hum with energy, vibrating gently, as if responding to their presence. As they got closer, Lena could make out more details. The carvings on the stone were unlike anything she had ever seen. They seemed to shift and change as if they were alive, constantly moving. Lena reached out to touch one of the carvings, and the moment her fingers made contact, a jolt of energy shot through her body. It wasn't painful, but it was overwhelming. Her vision blurred, and for a moment, she saw flashes of an ancient civilization beings that were tall and regal, their eyes glowing with the same light she had seen in her visions. They were standing in front of a large stone altar, performing a ritual. She gasped, pulling her hand back. John, I saw something. I saw them, the people who built this. They were performing some kind of ritual. John's face had gone pale. What did they do? What happened to them? Lena shook her head, still reeling from the vision. I don't know. But it felt like they were connected to this place. Like it was part of them. Maybe even part of their power. Before John could respond, the ground beneath them began to rumble. The air crackled with energy, and the strange creatures they had seen earlier began to gather around them, their eyes glowing brighter. It was as though the planet itself was waking up, responding to their presence. Lena's heart raced as she realized what was happening. The planet was reacting to her, and it wasn't just because of the blood in her veins. It was because she was a part of it now. The connection between them was deeper than she had ever imagined. And it was only just beginning to reveal itself. John, we need to get out of here, she said urgently. But there was a note of fear in her voice. Something's wrong. The planet is reacting to us. But John didn't move. His eyes were fixed on something in the distance. There, emerging from the shadows of the jungle, were more of the glowing beings. This time, they weren't just watching. They were coming toward them. Lena's pulse quickened as the realization hit her. The creatures weren't just curious. They were waiting for her. They had been waiting for her to come. This is it, Lena, John said quietly. This is what you were meant to find. Lena looked at him, a mixture of fear and awe in her eyes. She didn't know what was coming next, but one thing was clear. Her life had changed forever, and there was no turning back now. Let me know if you'd like any changes or further developments. You said, Part 4 1,000 words call echo, or interesting hunachaya, or third-person style. Ma lakaniha, or simple basic English ka use karnahai. Or underline chat GPT said. Here's part 4 of your story. Written in third-person style with simple basic English, and without dots or underlines. The ground trembled beneath Lena's feet as the glowing creatures surrounded her. Their eyes shone bright, casting an eerie light across the jungle. The plants seemed to respond to their presence, the bioluminescent flowers flickering as if alive. Lena could feel the energy coursing through her body, like a current running beneath her skin. It was overwhelming, but it also felt natural, as if it had always been a part of her, waiting to be awakened. John stood beside her, his hand tight around the weapon at his side. He was ready for anything, but even he couldn't deny the sense of danger that hung in the air. These creatures weren't like anything they had encountered before. They were intelligent, purposeful, and they weren't backing down. Lena's heart pounded in her chest as she looked at the creatures. She could see their forms more clearly. Now their bodies tall and slender, their skin shimmering like the surface of water under a full moon. They weren't hostile, but there was something unnerving about their presence. They were waiting for her to make the next move. She took a deep breath, trying to steady herself. The pull she had been feeling since arriving on Zeta 9 was stronger now. It was almost as if the planet itself was reaching out to her, urging her to take action. She couldn't explain it, but she knew one thing for sure: she wasn't just here by chance. This was no coincidence. John noticed her hesitation and placed a hand on her shoulder. "Lena, we need to stay calm. We don't know what they want yet." Lena nodded, but her gaze never left the creatures. She could feel them studying her, watching her every move. It was like they knew something she didn't, and that scared her more than anything. Suddenly, one of the creatures stepped forward. It was taller than the others, its eyes glowing with an intensity that made Lena's skin crawl. It tilted its head, studying her with an almost human-like curiosity. The air around it seemed to ripple with energy, and Lena felt her body react in kind. The connection between her and the planet was growing stronger, and she could feel it pulsing through her veins. The creature spoke, its voice deep and resonant, yet somehow familiar. "You are the one," it said. Its words were clear in Lena's mind, though its lips didn't move. Lena froze. She hadn't expected it to speak directly to her, let alone in a language she understood. "What do you mean?" she asked her voice shaky. "What am I?" The creature's glowing eyes seemed to soften, and it took another step forward. "You are the one who will lead us, the one who will restore balance." Lena's heart skipped a beat. "Balance? What are you talking about?" The creature's gaze never wavered. "The blood you carry is not just a gift, it is a key that will unlock the power of this world. A power that has been dormant for millennia." Lena looked at John, her mind racing. What did this creature mean? What was this power? And why was she chosen? She didn't feel special. She was just a doctor, a human like any other. But as she stood there, she felt something deep within her stir. The blood, John's blood. It was the catalyst, the spark that had set everything into motion. She hadn't just been healed, it was as if she had become something more. And now, standing in front of these ancient beings, she realized that the changes in her were part of something much bigger than herself. "What do you want me to do?" Lena asked, her voice barely above a whisper. The creature nodded, its eyes glowing brighter. "You will help us awaken the power hidden beneath this world. You will help us restore what was lost." Lena swallowed hard. "I don't know how to do that. I don't even understand what's happening to me." The creature stepped closer, its presence overwhelming. "The power lies within you. The blood you carry has already begun the process. You must embrace it. Only then will you understand what must be done." Lena was silent, her mind spinning. Embrace it? She didn't even know what it was. But one thing was clear. This was no ordinary mission. She had been drawn to this planet for a reason. And the blood in her veins was part of that reason. John moved to stand beside her, his hand resting gently on her arm. "We don't have to do this, Lena," he said quietly. "We can turn back. We can go back to the ship, leave this planet behind." Lena looked at him, her heart heavy. She had never been one to shy away from danger, but this was different. This was not just about survival. It was about something deeper, something far more important than she could have ever imagined. I can't turn back. John, she said, her voice steady despite the fear bubbling inside her. I don't know what's happening to me, but I have to see it through. I have to understand what this means. John nodded, his expression softening. I'm with you. Whatever happens, we'll face it together. Lena looked back at the creature, her mind made up. What do I need to do? The creature's gaze was intense, almost approving. Follow us. We will guide you to the place where the power lies. There, you will unlock what is needed. Without another word, the creature turned and began to move deeper into the jungle. Lena and John followed, stepping cautiously as the creatures led them toward the heart of the planet. The air grew colder, the energy in the atmosphere thickening. With each step, Lena could feel the pull stronger than ever now. The connection to the planet was undeniable, and with every passing moment, she felt more and more as though she was becoming part of it. The world around her seemed to pulse with life, and she could hear whispers in her mind voices calling to her from deep within the earth. They reached a clearing, and in the center stood a massive stone structure, unlike anything Lena had ever seen. It was ancient, covered in carvings that seemed to shift as she looked at them. The energy here was overwhelming, and Lena felt it surge through her, filling her with power. The creatures stopped before the stone structure, and one of them turned to Lena. This is where it begins, it said. Place your hand on the stone, and the power will be unlocked. Lena's heart raced. She stepped forward, her hand trembling as she reached out to touch the stone. The moment her fingers made contact, a rush of energy surged through her. Her vision blurred, and she was suddenly overwhelmed by a flood of images, ancient civilizations, rituals, and a deep connection to the earth beneath her feet. And then, everything went black. Lena slowly opened her eyes, her vision blurred as the overwhelming energy around her began to fade. She was no longer standing in the clearing. Instead, she found herself lying on a smooth stone surface, surrounded by a soft, radiant glow. Her body felt different, lighter yet full of power, and there was a warmth inside her, deep in her chest, where the connection to the planet now pulsed. She sat up, her heart still racing from the surge of energy she had just experienced. Everything felt so alive. The planet, the creatures, even the air, it all seemed connected, and now, so was she. Her hand instinctively pressed to her chest, feeling the steady rhythm of her heart. It wasn't the same as before. It felt like it was beating in time with the world around her. Lena looked around and saw the creatures gathered around her, their eyes glowing brighter than ever. They had been waiting, watching her with calm patience. But this time they didn't seem so distant. They seemed like part of her, as if they were waiting for her to lead them to something greater. One of the creatures, the tallest and most regal-looking of them all, stepped forward. You have done it, it said, its voice deep and resonant, but this time it was filled with a sense of pride. You have unlocked the power. You are the one who will restore balance to this world. Lena tried to speak, but her throat felt dry. She took a deep breath, trying to steady herself. What? What happens now? What do I do? The creature bowed its head, a sign of respect, before answering. Now you must return to the core, the heart of this world, where the power lies dormant. There, you will make the final choice. Will you restore what was lost or let this world fade into silence? Lena's mind raced, the heart of the world. She didn't understand what that meant, but she could feel the pull again. It was stronger now, urging her forward, urging her to make a decision that could change everything. The power was in her hands, and the weight of that responsibility felt heavier than anything she had ever experienced. "What happens if I fail?" Lena asked, her voice barely a whisper. The creature's eyes softened. "Failure is not an option. You are part of this world now, as much as the creatures that walk its surface. You will succeed, or you will sacrifice everything." Lena's throat tightened, but she didn't hesitate. She had no choice but to move forward. She had already made the decision to understand what was happening to her, to embrace whatever power she had unlocked. She couldn't back out now, not when everything she had worked for, everything she had experienced, had led her to this moment. The creatures began to move, their bodies shifting fluidly through the air, guiding Lena toward the heart of the planet. She followed, her heart pounding in her chest, but with each step, the overwhelming sense of power inside her grew stronger. It was as if the planet itself was breathing in time with her movements. John had been silent for some time, but Lena could feel his presence behind her. She could sense his worry, his hesitation, but also his trust in her. He had stood by her side since the beginning, never questioning her decisions, always supporting her. "John," she said, her voice shaking, "I don't know if I can do this. I don't know what's going to happen." John's voice was steady, comforting. "You've already done more than anyone could have asked for. Whatever happens next, we do it together. We face it together." Lena turned to him, her heart swelling with gratitude. He had always believed in her, even when she had doubts. But now, standing on the precipice of something she didn't fully understand, she realized how much she relied on his strength. They were in this together, for better or worse. They finally reached the heart of the planet. The air around them seemed to hum with energy, and the ground beneath their feet glowed with a soft, otherworldly light. The creatures gathered around, forming a circle around Lena, their glowing eyes focused on her. They were waiting for her to make the choice. Lena stepped forward, feeling the pull of the power growing stronger as she neared the center of the heart. The stone beneath her feet seemed to shift, opening into a deep, glowing abyss. It was as though the very core of the planet was waiting for her to enter, to embrace its power. "You are the one," the tallest creature said once more. "Only you can decide. You hold the power to restore this world or to let it slip into darkness. The choice is yours." Lena's heart raced. She didn't know what the future held, but she could feel the weight of the decision in her bones. The power was in her hands, and whatever choice she made would alter the course of the world forever. There was no turning back now. With a deep breath, Lena stepped forward and placed her hand into the glowing abyss. The moment her fingers touched the surface, a surge of energy shot through her body. It was more powerful than anything she had ever felt before. It was as though she was connected to every living thing on the planet, to every creature, every plant, every heartbeat. She felt the pain of the planet's past, the loss of its balance, and the hope that she could bring it back. She could feel it all, flowing through her, melding with her very essence. Her body trembled, her mind overwhelmed by the flood of information. But in that moment, she understood. She understood what needed to be done. The power was hers, but it wasn't for her alone. It was for the planet, for the creatures that called this place home, for the balance that had been lost. With a cry of determination, Lena closed her eyes and embraced the power, letting it surge through her. The world around her seemed to pulse with life, and she could feel the energy shifting, changing, becoming whole again. The planet responded to her, its energy aligning with hers, and for the first time since arriving, she felt at peace. When the energy finally subsided, Lena opened her eyes and looked around. The creatures were still there, watching her with reverence. The planet had been restored, the balance had been regained. And Lena, the human who had come to this alien world, had become something more than she could have ever imagined. She had become the bridge between worlds, between humanity and the alien life that called this planet home. John stepped forward, his eyes wide with awe. "You did it, Lena. You saved them. You saved the planet." Lena smiled, her heart light. With relief, "We saved it. Together." And as the planet's light shimmered around them, Lena knew that her journey wasn't over. It was just the beginning. The connection between humanity and the stars had only just begun.